I've always been interested in turning as a result of that, seeing the grandfather working in his shop. In fact, I'll even use a tool tonight when we drill a hole from his shop. So button boxes, I don't know, you can name it anything else. I call it a button box because the top looks like a button, a big button. It, a lady at church has one of these. I gave her, and she said, came back and said, my buttons don't fit. She had too many buttons. I said, well, use it for other notions or pins and needles, etc. It's just a box, right? And I deliberately leave a loose fitting lid, so it's not like, whose was this? Eldon's. He's got the perfect box top fit I noticed over here. Here's a mistake. Way too much slop in that one. When I made one of these, in fact, I got the idea from Carl Jacobson, just watching him demo one that he saw someone else on YouTube do. So he did it on YouTube. And I thought, this is pretty neat. And then I made one for my wife, and she said, I need 15 more. And she's got a lot of quilting, knitting friends that she wants to hand them out for Christmas. So then it becomes a cost thing, right? So the dimensions that I'll just demo tonight are based on this size bowl, which is about 4 1/4, 4 1/2 inches in diameter, finished diameter. And I like to use thick stock to begin with. You could, of course, laminate it, but I didn't want the rings on the outside. And so I found that the 3-inch stock is probably the best size for this size box. The proportions just seem to work. So here's some more of the eventual 15 that Kathy will get. This wood, Ephraimosia. I got it at Crosscut Hardwoods. And I got this because it was $8.75 a board foot versus walnut and maple and cherry at $14 a board foot. And so we're figuring each of the boxes she's going to be giving away is about $8 to $9 worth of material. But of course, you know, our time is free for our wives and husbands. So we'll make it in 2 parts, and I'm not going to go through everything tonight. I'm going to show you my production thinking on this as opposed to just a hobby wood turner, because I got so many to do. I thought, well, we better do a little bit of production techniques in it. So let's just use the chop saw or a saw to cut off a blank. And let's go down here, Mark. Look at that. It's shining.
There it goes. Here.
Almost there.
Look at this. There you are.
So just a tip. In fact, what I'm going to start to put it on the lathe is a tip that came from Reed years ago in a club meeting. I heard him say, you don't need to go in and fashion, even if you've got a dovetail chuck. Just use a Forstner bit and drill a shallow mortise, 1/8 to 1 inch, 3/16 to 1 inch, just a shallow mortise. Since Reed's suggestion, I've been doing that, and nothing's flown off at me yet. So that's what I start with. We'll just cut this, find the center, and I marked it in Sharpie so we could see it. Just a tip, before drilling the mortise, and I use the drill press, leave it square. And then when you hold it on your drill press with a clamp or some kind of a hold down, it's not going to be spinning on you. Yeah, Reed?
I learned that trick from Richard Rash.
Oh, wow. Pedigree.
Saw him doing it.
Okay. So leave it square, just a tip, and then drill the mortise. My 50 plus 54, something like millimeter jaws, 2 1/8 jaws. I just use 2 1/8 Forstner bit and chuck it up in the drill press. By the way, here's my old one. High-speed steel, started to get dull. I tried to sharpen it, to hone it, and I thought, what's Amazon sell these things for? And this was the 2 1/8, less than $20, maybe around 16. And we're going to look at a 4-inch one, $27, carbide tipped from China. And it works fantastic. It just, it stays cooler than the all steel one. Okay. So now we've got the mortise drilled, and then I use a bandsaw to just rough it out. And guess we don't need that. So let's put it on the chuck.
Clint,
Yeah.
you don't care about the little dimple in the center of that on the bottom?
We'll see how I work around that.
Okay.
It becomes very important, the dimple, when we're making the lid. Very important to watch out for not drilling too deep. So in the spirit of at least having a little bit of turning tonight, we'll just put parallel sides on this. I think I was pretty well set up, but I haven't played with the speed yet on this beautiful lathe. That's about 1,800 face mask. This wood, another nickname for it, there's several African teaks, and this is one of them. And when you read the details online, you don't want to be breathing this. So, you know, at home I'd wear a dust mask and have on my, what do they say in England? My extractor system, the vacuum. But not tonight. We're not going to do too much, and I'm not going to sand very much tonight also, so we don't get it all over the air. So I'm kind of echoes in here. Notice I'm using a Irish grind bowl gouge, and I'm riding the bevel and just using that. Instead of going back and forth to smooth this out, I'm just going to peel this down the length of it. It's also very hot, so you may see, take my hand off. The a joke. So I'm eventually going to start, Lord willing, start a YouTube channel. And of course, you've probably seen grief if people wear gloves on around a turning shaft, right? That's a basic safety principle number one, almost. Don't wear any loose clothing, rings, watches, etc., and no gloves. That I did that backwards. So the other day I was playing around with, hey, how can I make a tissue type glove just to keep that hot shavings off of there. Round. I got one joke for tonight. I might as well just get it over with. The round shape. We're all turners. We like round shapes. Here's the trivia question. Who was the designer of King Arthur's round table? Okay. Circumference. That's it. No more.
That's good.
Now, my new favorite tool is a negative rake scraper. I think it's becoming very popular. And I'm going to smooth up that side with my negative rake scraper. I picked this up from D-Way Tools. Remember, what's his name? Johnny? Jimmy was down
Allen.
here.
Jimmy Allen.
Yeah, he was here, and I think I bought it the night he was here. And he explained and even demoed a quick way to sharpen your negative rake scraper. And they sell you, well, with the tool, they'll give you this little template, and you can set up your grinding wheel and a thicker pad to get your tool up closer to center line of the wheel. So this, this is actually mine. I brought from home, the Wolverine adjustable base, and I just put a MDF top on it, screwed that on. And I noticed my center line at home, it was a little different than this one. So I had brought the template with me. I put it on here and just adjusted it. And now I got the perfect angle for sharpening the negative rake scraper. And Jimmy's tip was to sharpen upside down. So if I'm using the tool and this is the right side up, sharpen it upside down and deliberately form that little ridge, the burr on the top of the tool, because that's what does the magnificent job of scraping into a smooth surface. So let's do that. I want to check my OD here for a second. 4 5/8. Sometimes I'll just walk this tool over and use it without the handle, because I have another one from D-Way, the box maker tool, and we're going to use that later. Sometimes I use the handle, sometimes I don't. This particular wood it's prone to tear out. In fact, the article I was reading online, a planed surface, you'll notice tear out on it. So it's teak-like in that it does that. So it's hard then to get a smooth surface. So is there a noticeable difference between the part I did and the part I did not?
Does that scraper clean it up nice?
Fairly nice, but where I would normally start with like an 80 grit sandpaper, sometimes higher, I have to, on this wood, start with a 60. I just can't get it smooth enough with my negative rake. It's the nature of this wood. If it was maple, there wouldn't be a problem. I'd start probably with 120. That's not helping. Anyway, I was trying to look at the end grain and look at the tear out. So we've got some tear out. I would actually probably do another pass, try to get a little bit smoother, and I want the side to be parallel. But I'm not going to take these, well, I've got examples that are in various stages, so I don't have to put all this dust in the air. So let's say we've got that smooth. I think I put in the notes at this point, go ahead and finish sanding the outside because you're going to want to know the diameter. And I need to know the diameter so I know which Forstner bit to drill with. So of course we could hollow this out with a conventional hollowing. Maybe not the bowl gouge, but I'd use probably a carbide tip tool and hollow it out, leaving about a 1/4 inch wall. Or thinking of production and all these things I got to do, I'd go with probably the 4-inch Forstner bit. I was curious about Forstner bits, how long they've been around, who made them, who invented them. Won't believe this. 60 miles away from here, Salem, Oregon. Benjamin Forstner. He was a gunsmith, and he patented this, if I recall, like 1874. Took it to the Chicago World's Fair. Got 2 major contracts. One of them was the Colt Company, and I can't remember the other one. Became wealthy from all of this, and Salem, Oregon. Really surprising. Here's my grandfather's chuck. It's not a Jacobs, it's a clone of a Jacobs chuck. It's a monster. And with Amazon Prime, $27. I thought, wow, that's going to save me a lot of time. So I'm just going to start drilling. We want to go pretty slow here, probably around 400.
On this side, it says you're going 109.
Yeah, I don't know what that reading means. Okay, so we're not going to spend the whole time just drilling. because I do like to keep it slow. My speed's 450 actually. My feed, I keep pretty slow. And what I do is touch the surface of this. I want to keep it reasonably cool. It can get warm, but you definitely don't want to get it hot. That'll start damaging the tool. Now, Jim brought up the tip on the Forstner bit. Always completely necessary to keep it centered, but when you're drilling into a workpiece, you want to account for the tip. So what I do on the depth of the box, just look for my little scale. There it is. Blends into the tabletop. Now I know I put about a 3/16 inch mortise in this. So I'm going to step this back about 3/16. I'm just estimating. And then I'm going to leave about 3/8 of an inch bottom. So this tip, when I get all the way down there, is going to go deeper. So I'm going to about 3/16, about 3/8. And then I'm going to go from here to my, looks like 2 5/16. Just mark on the Forstner, including the tip now. I want to come back 2 5/16. And I'll put a piece of tape on the Forstner. I think it was right there. Yeah. And then I'll be careful that I don't go any deeper than the edge of the tape and looking straight down on the lip of the bowl. And remember, I didn't surface this surface first. There's plenty of time to surface and round this later. That's an advantage of starting with a board as opposed to a rough piece of stock. So let's imagine we have done that. I've got down to the bottom where I wanted it. Here's one of the 15. And I sanded the outside, and I didn't finish this. No, I didn't finish the outside. Look how smooth it is. My method of sanding, I did bring that, and a lot of you guys use the same method. I just love it. I used to use sandpaper, then I cut discs of sandpaper, and then I tried to make my own foam pads. Finally, when Woodturners Wonders came out with their system, I went to that, and I've been so happy. So I just lay out on my bench my grits in order. You might not see this. So it's 60 grit all the way up to 400, and I just cycle through them with my Harbor Freight angle drill. And it's so easy to change grits and not have to peel this off, which wears the Velcro faster. And it solves the problem of always centering this just right. I just love this system. And I keep on my workbench just Ziploc bags of the grits. And when one begins to wear, I'll just replace it, peel it off and replace it. Okay, so I just wanted to demo that. We're not going to need this anymore. So we put on this one that I'd started. The only difference in the one we just had, I've finished drilling to the depth that I wanted, and I completely sanded out the outside before I actually did the drilling. Then I got this little tool rest from, I think it was Woodcraft. And I use this inside my, boy, this is a big lathe. In fact, it might be too big for this particular tool to go in straight, but we can use it anyway. And when I've got the hole drilled, oh, right, the center is centered on the edge, the cutting edge. Yeah, good. That's great camera work, Mark. You can look right down in there. So I use a sweeping motion, and starting at the hole that was left by the tip of the Forstner bit, I just begin to carve down the bottom until that hole disappears. And that's where essentially where I'm going to leave the bottom and start bringing the bottom over toward the side. I can't touch this side. Let's do it a little bit. 2000-ish. Can't quite see in there. There's a little tip on the center, so I must not be exactly centered. But I mentioned I can't get over to the side because there's no cutting edge on this scraper. But the other D-Way Tools Boxmaster set, they've got several in this line. It's also a negative rake scraper. So it's got this profile on one end, and you can see how you can use this to get the side and the bottom. But for your flat bottom, flip the tool around and go right in and come up to the side. Then use this to finish that side. So let's do a little bit of that. Since I alternate back and forth, this is the one I usually don't put a handle on. Now I've got a question for Mel. In all of your hollowing, as you're hollowing, and chips build up inside the vessel, how do you get the chips out? Do you blow them out?
Well, I blow them out, but I also make little scrapers to make the hole. And pull some of them out, but most of it I blow out.
You do blow out. Do you have a constant flow of air, or you just pick up a nozzle and blast it out? Okay. Yeah. Because I do that frequently. I just hang my air nozzle here and give a little squirt. And my dust extractor is sitting right here, so that sucks up the dust. course, that sound's coming from vibration of the wall. Let's use this one. Here, I'm wearing earplugs around the neck, but not on me. So that's why I don't take time to face this off to begin with. If I've got a relatively straight board, it would just be loss of production, right? So there's the time to round that off. At this point, then I'd sand, and it's very difficult for me to sand. So I use a combination of hand sanding and my power sander. And I've noticed if I put my 2-inch pad on here with a 3-inch sanding disc and a dimpled one would be better. You know, the kind that has cutouts all around.
Wavy edge.
Wavy edge. C deck for that, right? You've got a ton of them. But at least this can form a little bit, and as I get in there, I can get some of the wall, and then I'll actually take that grit sandpaper and sand back and forth with it on at about 400. And work my way through the grits. And maple, walnut, cherry would be a lot easier than this teak. Okay, and then I'm going to finish the inside. I've finished sanded. We've finished sanding the outside. So now I'm going to, I use sanding paste to do a final sand. And then lately, I'm like quick finishes, because I got so many of these things to do, that I've been using the Pens Plus product on the wood. And one thing I have noticed, though, that I don't notice on a pen, and that's the larger surface under certain conditions, certain light conditions, you'll see streaks from Pens Plus. It's ideal for pens because you're getting such a great polish with it. But on a larger surface, it can leave streaks. So after I use the Pens Plus, I'll use the buffing wheel while it's turning. At again around 400, and just give it a buff. That'll start to warm the wax and those streaks go away. And that's for this product that I've noticed using Pens Plus. But I like it because it's so fast of a product. And I put about 3 coats of that on. You know, you apply it and hold your rag on it until you feel the warmth. The heat is what's setting that finish. Now, let's say we finished the inside and the outside. We got the bottom. And to use the bottom, or to do the bottom, we're going to use coal jaws. And I don't have another set of coal jaws of my own, so I borrowed the clubs. Set. And well, I have coal jaws, but I screwed these on the club's chuck so that we could do a quick change and I wouldn't have to do all those screws. Now, if Carl Jacobson was here, he'd do his pop, 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 and in 4 motions, he's done. What's easy wood? Easy wood chuck. So this is, my brother's going to take this back to Alaska for his wife, a giant quilter, for a Christmas present. So I do have to finish the bottom on this one tonight. So let's do that.
You have on there, sort of protecting the wood there.
Shelf liner.
Just shelf liner?
Yeah, it's like shelf liner, but I found it in a Safeway aisle one day. You know, you walk by and things hit you in the face, and I looked at it and thought, it's a little grip for loosening jar lids. So it already had been cut round. Okay, let's figure out which way to turn this. Fairly straight. You can see the dimple from the Forstner bit on there. This is quite a lot of material to take off with a negative rake scraper, but now that I can tune it up so fast on the grinder, I'm just using this more and more. I got to remember, these coal jaws, the recommended max is 600.
Yeah.
So I got to dial it back here. Not play Jimmy Clues. That isn't necessarily out of alignment, that you're hearing. That's because I did not flatten the surface. I'm taking the time at this point in the production process to flatten that surface. Okay, for this one, I'm going to call it good, leaving the point of the Forstner, leaving the outer edge of that mortise, and we'll just celebrate it a little bit. We'll just put in some grooves, and I'll use my pointed carbide tip, and we'll just leave that as if it was part of the design. It is part of the design. Now, let's just take a little bit off of the hole. Let's put in some grooves. I'm going to leave it like that. And by the way, this is one of the 15, Kath, in case you're counting. It's one of the 15. And since we do have to finish tonight, I am going to sand this. Go down to about 400. I'm going to start with 80 and we'll see what we get. Yeah, that 80 worked. 120, so simple to put this, change grits. We better check. Yes. Going great. That was 240, 320. Do a quick 400, then the paste. I can tell from the sandpaper that I'm actually picking up the finish. So I said I didn't finish the outside of this before, but I did. I think I did. I can't remember what I told you. But I finished the outside and the inside so that I could work exclusively on the bottom. So we've done that. I'll just put a little bit of, I use Axe abrasive paste. I know others in the club use Hampshire grit. Isn't that the name of it?
Yours?
What?
What was the name of that?
Axe, ACKS. It's made in Pennsylvania, and it's just a copy of the English product. A little paste wax with some diatomaceous earth in it to give it its grit. I don't want to overlap my finish too much, but some of it is going to overlap. So we just put on the paste. Cover this up so I don't get grit in it. And then we'll start buffing off the paste. When your rag is clear of the paste, that means you've got it all off. And you do want to get the sanding paste off before you put the polishing paste on. In this case, I'm not going to use the polishing paste. The sanding paste comes with the pair of the polishing paste also. But the Pens Plus, I'm using that because of there's more water resilience in Pens Plus. I think the doctor kind of designed that so that moisture from your hands don't disrupt the finish on a pen and pencil set. Oops, I forgot I'm using coal jaws. Keep it to 600.
I didn't go hard.
Still coming off on my rag. I use my fingernail to get down in the grooves. Almost. Good. I've got a clear rag. So we'll just go to Pens Plus. And how many use this product? Third to a half. It's a great finish to use with the school kids as we work on pens with them because it doesn't take as much patience as other finishes. It's not as finicky as a super glue finish. What I'm going to do here. Shake it well. Keep my speed down so I don't get it all over my shirt. So coat number one. Again, on this finish, you want to warm it up so that it sets. You can feel the heat in your fingers. Here's the first one. Second one.
So you're not going to go over the part of the finish before?
Am I overlapping?
Or are you going to go over it since the part you have now is really shining on the older part is a little duller?
Yeah. When I use my buffing wheel, I should get a more of a uniform shine. If not, then I'll have to reverse chuck it and do the walls again. I'm supposed to have this down, aren't I? So let's evaluate that shine difference. I am seeing a little bit of difference. So, definitely, here's another.
Certainly evened it out.
What's that?
The buffing certainly evened it out. It's not as.
It got better, didn't it? I think we're pretty uniform. So we'll call it there for time for the break, and we'll come back and make a button top for it.
Okay, let's take about a 10-minute break, then we'll do the brown bag. 10 minutes.
It's just a wonderful system because it's so fast.
So this is his standard stuff here. This is the
Heck,
screw-on piece.
Yeah, yeah, it comes as with part of the kit.
I was gonna go. At 7:30, my wife said, "Oh yeah, you had a meeting tonight."
Like crap, it's a clone.
I sent Margaret a message. Sorry, I missed the meeting. It's
Yeah, the
12
2-inch
days."
and the 3.
Do a lot of stuff. He talks about this,
Yeah, you buy the kit that gives you all the pads.
I think they got a chair for the 25 sheets.
check in.
You can order individual plates.
They still need somebody for the
Now 120s, I could cater just buy one. Price is pretty reasonable.
Right. Biggest problem, I'm not gonna volunteer for anything, because I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to go.
Well, but that doesn't have to be somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to say something tonight, I mean,
Yeah.
try and get one of these guys to do. In fact, I just got a message, they want me to start filling out that chart of the round
So this
volunteers.
just chucks up
It's
into
too
the
early.
drill.
Yeah.
These are the 2-inch
But they're
size.
saying, get it done.
The other thing, they did ask if anybody that's just trying to get on and having problems.
Where do you get it?
Registration. I
Wood
didn't have a
turner,
problem.
wood turners wanted to try.
I heard a couple of people say they had problems.
I get things on Facebook from them once in a while.
It's all
In
online.
fact, I sent some pictures to Mark, he's gonna send them to Caitlin, of our meeting last night with Kevin and stuff. So I haven't seen it online yet, so.
Like Instagram or
Facebook, yeah, yeah. It's like, I see it on Facebook, but I don't see anything come on.
they had, they just put Oregon Tool on there.
That's why,
Oregon Tool and Supply in Roseburg. It's a different company than Oregon Tool. Their name is Oregon Tool and Supply. So I had to, when I first sent it up there, then I had the gift certificate from them. I attached a picture of their logo. Legal name.
Mark said he went to, Oregon Industrial for bandsaw blades. They're no longer in Eugene, they're in Springfield.
Yeah, no, I
And he
get
said
it now. I just
it was
couldn't
bought
figure
out
how
by
you-
somebody.
Yeah,
And
it's really slick.
they're not interested in doing these sponsors.
Where'd you get those?
And they're not doing.
Oh, I
these
just
sharp-
erased wood
all
turners.
brand new blades.
Oh, yeah, okay. I get a lot of their discs when I order discs.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wood turners.
I can see it.
That's okay. I'll write that down.
But he said that they were just very rude, basically. I got a little one. I got two little ones. I get,
In fact, try it.
want that one? I kept one of them hanging in my shop.
I've got a,
Jim says, I'm not gonna take them because I'm sure Dick will put them all everywhere. I said, here, take them. I don't want them.
take another one to Oregon.
We got quite a few lathe
So you know, we're working with South Coast again? We are. Okay, well, I gotta contact him. But I don't know.
I can't, well, if you look at the agenda that came out, it's a lot of names of the people. I can't remember.
Yeah,
the
try
guy's
it.
name.
Yeah.
So easy.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, you did it. I thought it was just, Chuck without a key. Handouts rather than.
Huh?
Handouts.
I know.
So you
Would
can
you
start,
send more?
the starter
I'll see if
kit
they send
has
more.
all the pads,
I noticed some of these
but
are thicker
that was
than others.
several years ago when I started using it. Now I just start running
I've
out
got
of
a deal on it.
buy whatever grit I need.
So those are what, 3 inch?
Yeah,
Inch and a half?
2 inch. So this one comes with a 3-inch mandrel.
And again,
Yeah.
do you have catalogs on these?
Well, I haven't seen a paper catalog, but online you show all this stuff.
I think I got a catalog. I just wanted to get a smaller. Oh, I mean, over by Longworth. Longworth truck. I had done that with my used slave. Rubber bumpers, they all cracked. So, yeah.
See you later.
That was, I think that was.
Now, there's another one called Crafters Supply, that's Utah. And they carry everything. Not this system.
I guess I have to check and see.
Anyway, yeah.
One's from Florida and one's from Utah.
Yeah, and I think these guys are like Massachusetts.
Yeah, no, the Nova.
Another guy walking.
Yeah, that was just before the hurricane.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right next to the elevator. Well, what do your cousins do?
So I have
You
a
put it out there.
but it's flat. And then bevel up. Real flat. I find it catches a lot. I'm sorry, full scrape color. Yeah, that's flat. Oh, okay. And it's catches a lot.
If you got a pencil and paper I can use, I want to write down Woodturners November. Oh, I got a paper over there. I can write it. I'll bring it. My blood sugar took a real dip. That's what
So last night I woke up about 2:20, sweaty, cold, check it, 40.
45. Yeah. Now look at
So I had some of those rescue things.
now.
179. That's what my wife
That's
does.
high. That's never done that. It stayed for the past few months. It stayed somewhere between 110 and 145, and it hasn't jumped up and down like this. I must have done something wrong.
So you get to say something about volunteers on the foot for the school? You gonna say something about the volunteers that believe you just don't want to. Well, you need to know something about when you're sharpening those scrapers, that's why you get a better something in your throat. Feeling quiet. I mean, I had one lying here and it just let me feel it. Feel it. Yeah. See ya. All right. All right, everybody, let's find our seats. Sorry to hell in your ear. Find your seats. I'm going to get the bell. The bell's coming out. Down a bit. Next one down. Yeah. Bell's coming out. Boy, I'm glad I didn't have to use the bell. All right. Brown bag. Who brought it?
I did. I have 3 takers so far. Anybody want a brown bag ticket? Get your brown bag tickets here. I got it right now. All right.
Last chance for brown bag.
Can't win if you don't enter.
Same with the challenge. How many are going to do the challenge this time? So what's the challenge? Button box. Very good. Anybody can do that. If you can turn a bowl, you can turn that. Right, Clint?
Yep.
Okay, last chance for white ticket. Steve Bazell wins. Can we get some pictures, Mike? Mike, you gonna take some pictures? Very nice. What's on the top? Petrified oak? Really? Very nice. Thank you. Okay, Clint, you ready to do the lid?
Okay.
Okay, there's Clint again. If anybody wants a Oregon Woodturning Symposium poster, I have one up here if you want it. Especially if we're gonna take it someplace and post it.
Okay, what we're going to end up with is the top with the base we just finished. And I've already sized these together. But I want to show you how I lay out this box. When I watched Carl's video, he had a fairly good spacing, but he used a hand drill. And I just thought, let's tighten up the production process a little bit. And so layout became important. And what I've done to lay this out is find the center, the classic X method, and then use my compass. Well, actually, I use a circle drawing jig first, because I've found that for this size box, this spacing of half-inch holes seemed visually pleasing. So I used a 1/1/16. I tried to find another one of these on Amazon. They don't make 1 1/16 holes like they did back when I was in high school drafting class. Now it's 1 1/8. So 1 1/8 would work just as well. So I've centered that template over my axe, and I'm just drawing this circle. Show up okay? Yeah, very well. And what this intersection has done, it's located the center for my 4 holes. And that's going to give this rough layout, this shape. So that's the tip on the lid. Probably the only, all the rest is simple turning. But then I put a center punch on each of those intersections. Take it to my drill press, and guess what? I bought a Forstner bit from Amazon, and maybe I didn't even bring my 1/2 inch tonight, but a little 1/2 inch carbide tipped Forstner bit. Now, the secret on the drill press, if I drilled these straight through, I'd get tear out on the bottom, right? So I thought, well, I don't have to drill it all the way through. I'm going to be working it on the lathe. So as I bring the Forstner bit down, maybe if I set everything on edge. If this was the edge, I'll tilt it a little bit. As the Forstner bit is coming down, I'm going to keep the tip from going out the bottom. If you have a Forstner bit where the tip is a little longer than the flutes, if you just have the tip poke through, that's fine. That's not going to cause tear out. But I actually set my depth stop on the drill press so that the whole Forstner stops just shy of the bottom. And that's not going to be a problem because I'm going to be turning and I'll just uncover those holes and have no tear out. And it really works well. So, by the way, I drill those while it's still square or rectangle so that I can grip it on the drill press and it won't spin on me. And then I'm going to got the center here. I think I kind of evened these out so I could use the Sharpie for layout. See it easier. I need that outer line so that I can use the bandsaw to rough that out. And I need the divot in the very center for my 2 1/8 inch Forstner bit. The one that we started off holding the bowl bottom with. So now at this point, I'm going to go to the drill press, drill the 4 1/2 inch holes, not all the way through, just shy of the bottom surface. And then I'm going to use the 2 1/8 to go 1/8 inch, 3/16 inch to get my little mortise. And then I'm going to cut it out on the bandsaw. So I'm going to end up with something like this. Let's see, I didn't penetrate the bottom of the surface, but I got those 4 holes in there. And we need another chuck. Let's, this is the Nova, Supernova chuck. That's fairly flat, but I'm not going to worry about flatness yet.
Is that the top or bottom of the lid that was showing us?
Well, this will be the top. We're going to end up, I'm going to shape the top now. And as I start to peel back this surface, I'll uncover the holes and then I'll shape the lid. But that mortise is still being held by the chuck. And then I'm going to reverse this, put it in the cold jaws, finish off the bottom, almost like we finished the bottom of the bowl. Let's see, I think I start with the sides. It's wobbling on me. So I'm just going to test to make sure I've seated at the bottom of my mortise and the rest. Yeah, I did. I actually see a little angle to my mortise. So maybe my drill press table wasn't exactly horizontal or at 90 degrees to the Forstner bit, which would cause that wobble. Yeah. We'll turn it out. $1,600, $1,700. Now, before I actually use my negative rake scraper and make that pretty, I'm going to get a read on the diameter, because now what I'm actually doing is I want to match that lid diameter to the bowl that I'm in the process of making. I'm not like Henry Ford or no, Eli Whitney, right? The interchangeable parts concept. My bowl lids don't all interchange with the other ones. So I got 4 5/8. And what I would do is be careful to that outer dimension to match whatever bowl I'm working on. This particular bowl, we're going to use this lid that already fits it. So I'm just going to smooth this out now. Did I mention what wood this is? This is alder. I went with alder for 2 reasons: price and contrasting color. So Kathy, my wife, she's an expert in color. She said, okay, you have to have a contrasting lid, not the same lid. Make it interesting, a little contrast. So I looked at the price of cherry, walnut, maple. As I mentioned, that's $14 a board foot now. $8.75 a board foot, $2 a board foot. Oh, alder. Let's make it out of alder. So I wish you could feel this. It's even the end grain is wonderful. Now, alder isn't the most machinable wood. However, with a negative scraper, I would probably start at 120 if I was going to tune this up. Before I do that, though, I want to divide this into thirds. The notes mention use 4/4 lumber. I can get away with 3/4 inch stock, and so, for example, this one, see how much thinner that is, because I want a decent lip hanging down inside the box. I think this one may have been 3/4 also. So 4/4 with 2/3, 1/3 ratio seems to work pretty well. I love this lathe, Kathy. Just saying.
Did anybody see the sticker on the front that says Old Yeller?
Christmas is coming up, right?
I'll trade you 15. What are we doing on time? 7:30, so we don't run too late. Well, let's at least uncover the holes on this. Notice how I'm going to use my bowl gouge. I'm going to use it as a scraper. A little high. My new favorite, I'm going to go right to the negative rate, which is a scraping action very similar to this acute angle that I'm holding the bowl gouge at, just so that it scrapes the edge. What I'm going to try to do once I uncover the holes, I want to leave sort of a raised center, and that's just my concept of a button, just sort of raised, and then almost imaginary raise. Then I dip it down and bring it back up to the edge. So this edge is, look at it like that, is proud of this surface. And there's a little bit of a scoop in here. It's just to visualize a button. Where's my holes? Every time I do this, I'm thinking, did I drill them deep enough? Did I drill them deep enough? And then suddenly they appear. There they are. Let's take a look. Yep. Good. So no tear out. And decent lathe speed. You always want as fast as you feel comfortable with. That helps with the cutting, and there's just no tear out on those. So now I would start rounding this edge. And what would I do next? I think I would go with my 2/3, 1/3 and start forming the tenon that'll sit down in the box. This is an Easy Wood Tools cut off knife, and it's just got a carbide tip in it. Actually, measure twice, cut once, right? What I would do is, for the box that I'm making the lid for, get my ID in here. Happens to say 4 1/16. And then, since this won't reach down far enough to get the outside of the tenon, I have to transfer it to another tool. Yeah, it's right there. So now this is what I'll take the tenon down to, knowing that that's the inside diameter of the box. And then I'll go just a whisper more. Of course, a whisper goes just like that, and you can very easily, like that mistake over there, have too loose of a fitting. But, so I've measured. Now I'm going to cut and then keep measuring. The tenon is actually a little big, a little more than a third. Now, if I was a professional turner, he'd be in there with a spindle gouge and just shape that tenon just like that. I'm cheating. I'm using a carbide tip as my scraping tool. And I'm not even going to take it to the limit. So, in other words, to the finished tenon size. But here's my measuring tool. I'll just keep taking a whisker off until I've got, it's just slipping by the outer diameter. Then I'll sand, and I'm sure liking the way this alder turned out. I'll sand and finish this top and the top edge, and then reverse chuck, or can't say reverse, put it in the coal jaws and do the bottom of the button. That got tight. Whoops.
So the little cutouts, they're gonna come loose when you sand them? Do you think we push them out, or cut them out, or we just?
I've learned to just ignore them. They'll eventually just fall out as I'm finishing them. But I have, in the beginning, I would push them out and then use a pencil to knock them out. But they just, yeah, they fall out. Okay, so we're gonna not reverse chuck this one. We're gonna finish off this lid. Where did I put? This is the club's chuck, and I noticed with coal jaws, this is just barely long enough. Let's make sure I'm turning in the right direction first. That's it. So that's been sanded and finished on the the top. And this is very, very similar to the bottom of the bowl. That's about the height. Where we can quickly finish that off. 600, Clint, 600. What did I do? How many people have this lathe, a Powermatic like this? 4, 5, 6, 7. Awesome lathe, huh? I have a good lathe, a Laguna.
You got a Laguna, don't you?
In fact, Kathy, my wife, wanted me to get a better lathe than the old Delta shop model. And she said, can you make me, how many was it? 3 buttons that are 2 inches in diameter. I said, oh yeah, I can do that. A new lathe would make those. So it, still waiting. And with the attachments and all of that, we figure it's $1,000 a button. That chatter is the holes, as the holes go by the tool. And ideally, if I could crank my speed up, that wouldn't chatter. But I'm trying to hold it down for the cold jaws. Put a little bit of relief on that edge so it's not sharp. Staying away from the rubber hold downs. See how that looks. Ooh, I got tear out on the end grain here and here. So I'm going to try to, well, if it was in my shop, I would make sure I still have a good burr on this, which gives the best edge. And so it's like, can so easily sharpen that burr or create a new burr. I'll just come over and do it. Oh, nice, nice. Again, E-Way Tools, they have a whole video on their website of how to set this up and then use the template to get the exact angle. Yeah, it's still there. It improved. The tear out on the end grain. So what I'd have to do, and what I'll do just for expeditiousness tonight, is I would start with the 60 grit. And being alder, it's going to sand even faster. It's softer than that teak. Let's do it. Down to around 400. Yeah, that's actually eliminated the tear out. It's uniform all the way around. However, as you know, 60 grit, it puts some heavy duty scratches in it. Avoid 60 if you can. That's shaping up nice. I am going to make this outer ring left from the Forstner bit. I'm going to pronounce it a little more celebrated, as Norm would say. And then when I finish sanding it, kind of softens it, that little groove. And we're on to 120. Looking very nice. 180. $240. $320. Uh-oh. I just let the edge catch the holes. I want to make sure I didn't damage them. I didn't. So I did damage to my sandpaper instead. This is good.
Does anybody see while that's turning, look up the camera, how much slower the middle is turning than the outside. It's kind of cool. Watch that.
How much slower the what?
The middle turns, you can see the holes as it turns
It
up on
turns a
the
lot
screen.
slower than the
Oh.
outside.
Because of the refresh rate?
Because, yeah, the camera is quicker than.
Huh?
What's up?
Yeah, the holes are.
That's what I'm saying. When you look on the end, and
There's a comedian in every group.
oh, that's why we're, moving. Yeah.
So it's on the camera.
Yeah. They think
Very
that's
nice.
a fun view everyone can see. So they need to go over here.
Hate when that happens.
The camera is quicker than the eye, I think.
Now, I'm going to get wax in the holes because I'm just indiscriminately putting it on here. And it doesn't bother me. What I'm going to do to finish the holes off is, we might not get to it. Yeah, we'll cut it off right about here. But after I finish the abrasive paste, then my Pens Plus, like you saw me do on the bowl. Then when I take this lid off, I use just regular walnut oil and saturate a tip of the rag. And I use walnut oil to go into the hole and kind of saturate the inside of the hole. So that darkens it, protects it, and gives it a kind of a matching look to the Pens Plus. And so that's why I'm not too worried about the wax that's in the holes right now. So why don't we finish it there? I'm going to spend a few more minutes while we're doing the raffle, just finish off the lid for my sister-in-law's present. And that's it. Any questions at all? Yeah. All righty.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Clint. Appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna go for the blue tickets. Jim, where'd you go? Blue tickets. First one gets a $10 Woodcraft ticket, gift certificate. Huh? $10 gift certificate.
Oh, 56. Who got it?
Scott,
Scott.
you writing this down? Thank
What's
you.
the next one, Mark?
Next one's Niles Bottle Stoppers. Niles Bottles, yeah, $10.
Another $10 for Carl Jacobson, isn't it?
Yep.
Last three numbers. 047.
Randall.
That's the blue ticket.
Randall Dale.
That's the blue ticket for you for this evening.
There you go.
Thank you for doing that.
Oh, I believe you. Okay, so challenge winners. Now, what?
These are just receipts.
Here.
You got the one that voted for it.
Yeah, I got the winner. Okay, the winner of the challenge is,
Behind you.
oh, he's already waiting for it. He's right behind me. Dick Worthy again. Okay, Dick, you have a choice. $20 Woodcraft, $30 Carter and Son, or a $20 gift certificate to D-Way Tools, which is just for Christmas. Oh my gosh, you're gonna take Woodcraft? Okay. Huh?
Now we do the runner-up.
The runner-up.
Consolation prize is Mel Martin. Congratulations, Mel.
So Mel, you get either $20 D-Way Tools? Are good?
Again, if you don't.
Yeah, that's D-Way. Okay? All right. So, that sort of does it. Next meeting is December 19th. Remember, it's early because of Christmas. I don't think anybody wants to be here on Christmas Day. And the,